The first time Daniel Carter heard the crying, it was almost midnight. The sound slipped through the thin walls of the small apartment building like a fragile thread of sorrow, soft at first, then desperate, then heartbreakingly tired. Daniel sat at his kitchen table surrounded by unopened bills, cold coffee, and the quiet weight of exhaustion. For a moment he thought it was his imagination. But then it came again, a muffled sob, followed by a woman's strained breathing. Daniel leaned back in his chair and stared at the wall that separated his tiny apartment from the one next door. For months, the woman living there had been nothing more than a quiet presence. Her name on the mailbox read Dr. Amelia Whitmore, and the neighbors often whispered that she was a gynecologist who worked long hours at the city hospital. She left early in the mornings, returned late at night, and rarely spoke to anyone. Daniel had nodded to her once in the hallway. She had given him a tired smile, that was all. But tonight, something was different. Before we continue this emotional journey, take a moment to support the channel. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of human compassion, please like this video, share it with someone who loves meaningful stories, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Daniel rubbed his eyes and stood up slowly. His body ached the way it had every night for the past 3 years. Being a single father to a 4-year-old girl named Lily Carter had taught him that exhaustion could live inside your bones. Lily was asleep in the small bedroom down the hallway, her favorite stuffed rabbit tucked under her arm. She had asked about her mother again that night. Daniel had given the same answer he always did, that her mother loved her very much, but she had gone to heaven. Some truths were too heavy for a child. Daniel was about to sit back down when the sound next door returned. Sharper now, almost like someone trying not to scream. His hand hovered near the wall. He hesitated. People had their private struggles, but something about the sound felt wrong. Daniel stepped into the hallway and knocked gently on the door of the neighboring apartment. At first, nothing happened, then the crying stopped. The silence that followed felt thick and uneasy. He almost turned back toward his apartment when the door creaked open a few inches. Dr. Amelia Whitmore stood there. Her normally neat dark hair was loose around her shoulders, and her eyes were red and swollen as if she had been crying for hours. The soft hospital scrubs she wore were wrinkled, and there was a look on her face Daniel had seen only a few times in his life, the expression of someone carrying a secret that was crushing them. For a moment they simply looked at each other. Daniel cleared his throat awkwardly. "I heard someone crying," he said gently. "Just wanted to make sure everything was okay." Amelia blinked slowly, as if deciding whether to shut the door or say something, then she stepped aside. Daniel hesitated but walked inside. The apartment looked almost identical to his, same small kitchen, same narrow hallway, same flickering ceiling light. But something about the atmosphere felt heavier, as if the air itself held grief. Amelia sank into a chair at the dining table and covered her face with both hands. Daniel stood awkwardly for a moment before sitting across from her. "I'm sorry," she whispered finally. "You shouldn't have to see this." "You don't have to apologize for being human," Daniel said quietly. Those words seemed to break something inside her. She let out a shaky breath and stared at him. "You're a good father," she said suddenly. Daniel frowned. "How would you know that?" Amelia looked toward the wall that separated their apartments. "I hear you reading to Lily every night." Daniel felt a strange warmth in his chest. "I try." For a few seconds neither of them spoke, then Amelia said something that made Daniel's heart stop. "I was the doctor who delivered your daughter." Daniel blinked in confusion. "That can't be right," he said slowly. "Lily was born at St. Mary's Hospital." Amelia nodded. "I know." A cold feeling crept through Daniel's stomach. "How do you know that?" Amelia's eyes filled with tears again. "Because I was there," she whispered. Daniel felt as if the ground beneath him had shifted. 4 years earlier had been the worst night of his life. His wife Rebecca Carter had gone into labor 2 weeks early. There had been complications. Doctors rushed in and out of the delivery room while Daniel stood helplessly in the hallway. Lily survived, Rebecca did not. For 4 years Daniel had lived with the belief that it had simply been a tragic medical emergency. Now Amelia Whitmore was staring at him like someone about to confess a crime. "I've lived next door to you for 6 months, she said quietly. "And every night I hear you telling Lily stories, making her laugh, trying so hard to be both mother and father." Her voice trembled. "And every night it reminds me of what happened in that delivery room." Daniel felt his chest tighten. What are you saying? Amelia's hands trembled as she reached into a drawer and pulled out an old medical file. I've been carrying this for 4 years, she whispered. She slid the folder across the table. Daniel opened it slowly. Inside were hospital records, surgical notes, and a name. Dr. Amelia Whitmore, the attending physician. Daniel looked up at her, his pulse racing. What is this? Amelia's eyes filled with guilt. That night, something went wrong, she said. Your wife had a severe hemorrhage after Lily was born. We were trying to stop the bleeding, but the hospital was understaffed. The senior surgeon who was supposed to assist me never arrived. Her voice cracked. I made a decision on my own. Daniel's grip on the file tightened. I tried a procedure I had only performed twice before. The room felt unbearably quiet. It failed, Amelia whispered. Daniel stared at her, struggling to process what he was hearing. I didn't tell the hospital the truth, she continued. I wrote in the report that the hemorrhage was unstoppable. Daniel felt anger rising inside him like a storm. You're saying my wife died because of you? Amelia closed her eyes. Yes. The word hung in the air like thunder. Daniel stood up abruptly, his chair scraping across the floor. 4 years of grief, sleepless nights, and unanswered questions rushed through his mind all at once. For a moment he couldn't breathe. Amelia didn't try to stop him. I've wanted to tell you since the day I saw your name on the mailbox, she whispered. But I was a coward. Daniel paced across the room, his fists clenched. You should have told me, he said hoarsely. I know. You should have faced the consequences. I know. But instead you let me spend 4 years thinking it was just fate. Amelia's tears fell silently onto the table. Daniel's anger slowly collided with something unexpected, the memory of Lily's laughter, her tiny hand in his, the quiet nights reading bedtime stories. Finally he spoke again. If you felt so guilty, why tell me now? Amelia looked up at him with shattered honesty. Because yesterday I turned in my medical license. Daniel froze. What? I confessed everything to the hospital board, she said. They're investigating. Daniel stared at her in stunned silence. I couldn't keep living next door to the man whose life I helped destroy without telling him the truth. The room fell silent again. Outside, rain began tapping softly against the windows. Daniel slowly sat back down. For the first time he noticed something else in Amelia's apartment, framed photos of newborn babies on the wall, hundreds of them, each one labeled with a date and a name. You kept track of every baby you helped deliver, Daniel murmured. Amelia nodded faintly. Over 3,000. Daniel swallowed hard. And Lily? Amelia looked at him with trembling eyes. She's the one I think about every day. Minutes passed in silence. Finally Daniel closed the medical file and pushed it back toward her. You made a terrible mistake, he said quietly. Amelia lowered her head. I know. But you told the truth. She looked up in surprise. Daniel exhaled slowly. And because of that, my daughter still has a chance to grow up seeing what accountability looks like. Amelia stared at him as if she couldn't believe what she was hearing. You're not angry? Daniel gave a tired, bittersweet smile. Oh, I'm angry. He paused. But I'm also a father. And fathers learn something strange over time. What's that? That holding on to hatred doesn't make your child's future any brighter. Amelia broke down in tears again, and for the first time in 4 years, Daniel Carter felt something shift inside his heart. Not forgiveness yet, but the possibility of it. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes in compassion, and subscribe to the channel so we can continue telling stories that remind us of the humanity we all share. And before we reach the final moments of this story, we have a special request for you. Write the word hope in the comments if you believe that even broken people deserve a chance to make things right, because sometimes the most powerful endings begin with a painful truth. In the weeks that followed, Daniel noticed something unexpected. Amelia didn't move away. Instead, she stayed. She volunteered at a free women's clinic across town, helping mothers who couldn't afford proper medical care. And sometimes, in the evenings, Lily would run into the hallway and wave excitedly at their neighbor. Hi, Dr. Amelia. Amelia would kneel down and smile softly. Daniel watched those moments quietly. Life had taken something from him that could never be replicated.